So I decided my body gets a little bored. So every little while it just wants to mix life up and make it more exciting. So today when I was opening my Cricut that I got for Christmas that I was so excited about, I had just printed something. It worked so good. It was so good. And I was sitting there and all of a sudden I felt this buzzing in the side of my left skull, and it got intensified, and I could feel like a pulsating in down my neck, and then my arm started to move on its own accord and started like seizing up and shaking, and it just one thing after another that was fun. And I called Darren and he was like, just wait, and I was like, don't wait. And
Marco Polo?
YouTube. And
YouTube.
He came in and he saw what was happening, and so he just held me, and he had called Kaylee, and she called 911. The paramedics showed up. By the time, it was pretty intense. I was crying because of the lack of control, that I had just lost all control of my left arm and my left side, and it was so intense that I was afraid. And Darren held me, and the paramedics showed up, and then it was gone. And so the paramedics just kind of looked me over, asked me questions. They asked me who the president was. I said, oh, I don't know. Does anybody know who the president is? So they figured my sense of humor was still intact. Things were okay. I guess I answered everything good. And then, but they encouraged us that we make sure that we go to the hospital. And it was a good thing that we did, because we got in the car, and about 10 minutes away from the hospital, it happened again. The first time it was 3 minutes. The second time it was 30 seconds to a minute. It went by a lot faster. We got admitted right away. When we talked about all my symptoms, they were all very stroke-like symptoms, or TIA symptoms. And so they got us right back. Right away, there was a nurse in the room, and there was a doctor, and they came up with a quick plan that we needed to do an MRI. And about 20 minutes after we got there, I seized again, and this seizure was extremely, extremely terrifying. The doctor held my hand. He asked me to squeeze it. I couldn't tell my hand to do anything. He told me to move my wrist. I couldn't move my wrist. He told me to keep my elbow up. My arm dropped like dead weight. And then he left the room, and my arm just flailed on its own accord and was like hammering on my chest. And finally, Darren was telling me to calm down, and I was like, stop it! I held up my hand, and it stopped it. And I was like, oh, see, I just had to tell it to calm down. And so that was like such a relief. It was getting very terrifying, because it went on for, did I say 5 minutes? It just kept going. And so I waited. They had to give me some Ativan to relax the system, because I couldn't be seizing in the middle of the MRI. They went in, took the MRI. Just a few minutes after they came out, the doctor came in, and he said that there are 2 spots. He's like, they haven't looked yet, so we'll wait for what the radiologist says, but there appears to be a tumor in your left frontal lobe and your right back lobe, and the right back lobe looks as though it has been bleeding. Bleeding is probably what caused the seizures. And so there you have it. The cancer has metastasized to my brain. There is a plan. There's a newer version of radiation that can isolate only the tumor in the brain. And so I'll meet on Monday or Tuesday with the the radiologist to proceed with a plan to strive to shrink the tumors in my brain at this point. They put me on anti-seizing medications and restricted my ability to drive on my own, and also on some steroids to see if they can decrease the inflammation in the brain. We have to watch it carefully. If it gets worse, then we'll be back in the ER trying to figure out what to do from there. But we were blessed today. The best nurse, and she was just she just took on an extra day, and she just really appreciated my sense of humor, and we connected, and she brought in this cute little hedgehog for me, and she told us about her favorite treats, and she made it happen. She found somebody to run and get them for us, some M&Ms and some pretzels from Sonic. And I just think Heavenly Father is so good when He sends His little angels to do His work, to make something that is super miserable into something that is bearable and almost inspirational. She was a blessing to us, and I'm so grateful for her, and so grateful for other people. I know that my sister was inspired to come today because because God inspired her to know that things were maybe not going to be so good, and so she's headed here right now, flying here, because she's my personal angel. And then my friend too, who seems to be completely connected spiritually, soul to soul, also texted me at exactly the moment we were leaving, and then she wasn't okay with me not responding, and immediately got in contact with Darren, and she said she knew that something wasn't right. And I know that is the way Heavenly Father uses us as instruments in His hands, and I happen to know that both those people pray every day to be instruments in His hands, and I know that they're like my personal saviors on Mount Zion, so I'm so grateful for them.